morning, everyone, and welcome to Week 4 of Prospect Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm your host, Jack Ankeny, and Coach Camardella is joined again to review last week's Hershey game. So thanks, Coach, for coming on.
For sure.
So against Hershey, you guys came out with a really strong start. What do you think attributed to that start, and what did you do to maintain that throughout the game?
I think the biggest thing is Tuesday we played Schaumburg, came out in our home opener and just had a really solid and efficient game. Then had a couple of really good days of scout, of film, of practice. I felt like the guys were confident. They already had a home game under their belt. Yeah. And those East games, especially the Friday night games, I think there was a lot of energy in Gene Walker. You know, we had the reunion for Coach Ashley and his teams from the 80s, so it was just a lot of positive energy in the building. I think our guys fed off that.
Do you think you prefer games on Tuesdays when you can have kind of a tune-up before the week, or maybe like a full week of practice?
I do. You know, and we have parts of our schedule that are both, but having that game on Tuesday, like a crossover, a non-conference game, just to get your guys, you know, prepped and getting some game experience under their belt before Friday, it always helps.
Yeah, so you guys were all over Hershey, especially on the defensive end. How important was that to not allow Hershey to get comfortable in their offense?
I think that was really what everything started with, you know, and Rathy drills our guys a lot in whether we're doing some zone work, whether we're doing some man defensive work. So it was really important for us to have both options, and guys executed really well.
Okay. So how can the dunks from guys like Tim Lessenhop and Jalen McLaughlin excite the crowd and give you guys confidence going forward? Yeah,
I mean, last year we had a few from Grant Zelmer, but I don't think in my entire career here we've had 4 in a game.
Yeah.
And, you know, all 4 came off of our defensive possessions and our traps and deflections and steals. And, there's nothing like it in basketball. You know, the people who say that a dunk only counts 2 points probably have never dunked in their life, so.
All right. So after leading 26-13 at half, what did you tell the team at halftime that allowed them to extend the lead in the second half?
Yeah, made some minor adjustments about how we were rotating defensively. Really looked at some of the gaps we were attacking offensively and helped guys understand where Hershey was rotating. And if you saw, we came out in this third quarter and scored 24 points. Yeah. So it was a great adaptation from halftime adjustments, and I think that really sort of put the game into our favor by the third quarter.
Okay, so after the game you called how you guys played relentless basketball. How do you think going forward that will kind of be an example of how you should play going forward?
Well, I think we should learn from each possession, whether it's offensively or defensively, but I don't want anybody hanging or over-celebrating something in the game before it's over. And I think this team, you know, we're on a really nice winning streak right now, and I think what we've done is every practice, every game, we've looked to learn, but at no point have we think we've accomplished anything. And for a team like this that is slowly gaining more and more experience, I think they realize that you can't hang on mistakes, you can't hang on successes. And so when I said that I thought we were really relentless Friday, is that every possession was a new chance to try and succeed. And I thought the guys really did well embracing that attitude and feeding off each other.
Okay. So now riding a 5-game win streak, what do you think has contributed to that to the most, and what can you do going forward to maintain that?
Well, I mean, Friday's game is huge. Everything's sort of built up to this point, and either Prospect or Buffalo Grove, somebody's going to have the lead in the East going into break. So it's something that our guys, I think, are really focused on. I guarantee Buffalo Grove is, and we'll see. But I hope, like I said, everything that's built up to this point gives us the experience and the will to prepare and get ready for Friday.
Okay, thank you, Coach Camardella. And next up will be an interview with junior forward John Kreidler.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Prospect Basketball Weekly, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm here with forward John Kreidler. John, thank you for joining us this wonderful day.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime. And against Hershey, you hit 2 threes and also made some nice plays inside. How do you try to balance your style of play each game?
Well, each game, there will be different defenses presented to me, so I just try to see what they're giving me and go from there.
How would you describe your role on this year's team?
I would describe my role in this team as somebody who can hit open shots and contribute on both ends of the floor.
What will it take defensively for the team to contain Buffalo Grove's big man and also very good, really elite player, Matt Camardo?
Well, we're going to have to guard him pretty well. We're going to have to not force him to his right hand, maybe shoot with his left, and it'll be a team defensive effort to pull out with one there.
What do you think has contributed to the team's 5-game win streak, and how will the team try to keep it going versus Buffalo Grove?
Well, I think on this 5-game win streak we've played very, very good defense, and our offense finally started to be clicking. So I think if we keep that rolling against Buffalo Grove, we'll have a good outcome.
What have you learned most in your first year as a varsity basketball player?
Well, my first year, or part of the first year, I've learned that you have to come ready every game to play. There'll be no game given to you, and everybody's ready for a fight. So you just gotta come out ready to play.
John, thank you, and stay tuned for an interview with freshman A coach Mike McCullough. Hello and welcome back to Prospect Basketball Weekly, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm here with freshman coach Mike McCullough. Coach, thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
How have you seen the freshman team develop since the start of the year?
That's a great question. We actually were talking about that yesterday at practice as we did a drill that we've done since the beginning of the season, and we have a benchmark that we try to break every time, and we completely destroyed it, probably doubled the amount of productivity in that drill, and we were just commenting that, that was something that we couldn't have done a month ago.
What games have stood out to you so far this year?
No, we haven't had that many yet, but probably the biggest game that we've had so far was last Saturday against Hersey. We had a nice win at both the A and the B. Had nice wins at both the A and the B level. Started off like a house of fire, up 15-1 at the end of the first quarter. But, I think we learned a good lesson that, things can change very quickly in high school basketball, as we probably lost the second quarter by about the same score. And then, the kids were able to persevere, and it was a pretty well-played game, and, some nice clutch plays were made at the end. So, I think that's something that we can move forward with.
After coaching the sophomore team until quite recently, how is coaching freshmen different than coaching sophomores?
The biggest difference is, we talk about it a lot that, freshman is basketball 101, if you talk about it in terms of like, a college class. And sophomore basketball is like 201, where it's a lot more emphasis on strategy, and, you're a lot closer to getting kids ready for the varsity level. So, at the freshman level, we spend a lot more time on trying to break some bad habits and instill some new ones on both the offensive and defensive ends of the floor.
How do you try to prepare the freshmen for varsity basketball?
That's what we do every day. We do a lot of skill work. Coach Camardella runs very much a set play offense, so we try to do a lot of that at the lower levels too. We share the same terminology, and having such a staff that's so close together. So tied together, we really do make a big emphasis on that.
What kind of culture do you try to create at the freshman level?
We want everybody to feel important. There's not one guy that's above the team. Everybody relishes their role. There's equal playing time in practice. Everybody is made to feel like they're a very valued member of the team, which they are, because you never know in 3 years who your contributors are going to be at the varsity level. It's not necessarily the kids that are the standouts as freshmen.
Since there are no playoffs at the freshman level, what are your ultimate goals for the team this season?
Well, we try to win the East every year. That's always our goal, is to be competitive with the kids in our neighborhood, and just to look for continuous improvement. We really put a lot of emphasis in practice, and we talk a lot about that we have standards that we set, and they don't necessarily have anything to do with wins and losses, but how well we're playing and how well we're doing things.
Coach, thank you, and stay tuned for our Week 4 preview against Buffalo Grove with head coach John Camardella.
Welcome back, everyone, to Week 4 of Prospect Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. Coach Camardella is back to preview the matchup against Buffalo Grove, so thanks for coming back, Coach. So Buffalo Grove returns many of their key contributors from last season. What do you think the team needs to do to match that intensity and experience on Friday night?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is they do return an absolute load of experience. They're an extremely talented group, both inside, outside, on the wings. And it's a matter for us as a coaching staff helping prep our guys. Most of our guys are familiar with their players, but really helping them, see what each player does well, and trying our best to limit their open and easy looks.
Okay. Do you think playing against them last year and them having a lot of the same players kind of helps you for this game, knowing kind of how they like to play?
Absolutely. And guys are familiar with it. These guys, a lot of them have grown up playing against each other. Yeah. So like I said, they're familiar with it. Coach Peterson's a good friend of mine, and so we're very familiar with each other's programs. And so it's a matter of going in and trying to execute a game plan where you put the tempo in your favor.
Yeah.
And going on the road in an environment like the one we should see Friday night, with a lot on the line, I think that's what we prep our guys for and why we practice the way that we do.
Okay. So after a great game defensively against Hersey, what do you think the biggest focus defensively will be in order to contain Buffalo Grove?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said contain, because at this point, and especially at the varsity level, you're never really going to completely stop someone. So it is much more about limiting, and it's about containing and forcing them into positions, into shots that you want them to have rather than the ones they want to have.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a chess match, but I think our guys are very open to the defensive game plan that Rathy's putting in. But those guys over at Buffalo Grove are really talented, and they're confident, but I'll flip it and say that we're also equally confident. I think we're playing really well right now as a team.
Okay. So with a full week of practice to prepare for Buffalo Grove, what have you been telling the team to kind of prepare them mentally for the atmosphere that you said you were expecting on Friday?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think what we've done up to this point is really key. I mean by that, I think the St. Viator Thanksgiving tournament puts us into hostile environments against opponents and different styles of play that we don't usually see. So I say up to this point that our team has faced really difficult road environments already. We've faced bigger teams. We've faced more athletic teams. We've faced really skilled guards. And so at this point, when the conference season hits, there's very few things that we haven't seen yet. We've faced zone, we've faced presses, and so we make sure to remind our guys of that there are very few things they haven't seen yet, and I think that just builds their confidence going into the game.
Okay, so after the game against Hersey, you said that the team is kind of now starting to find their identity and how they're playing with. How important will that be Friday against Buffalo Grove to play with that identity and not let Buffalo dictate how you guys are going to play?
Yeah, they need to understand. I think our guys really do. Is the last really 3 games in particular, going to Elk Grove, Schaumburg, Hersey, we've really tried to put a stamp on the game defensively first by throwing different looks, and our guys have picked up and learned very quickly. And I think we're getting a lot of our offense off our defense, at least these last 3 games, and it's something, this will be without a doubt the most experienced team that we've played in the last 4. But it's about translating offense out of our defense.
Okay. So against Hersey, you guys had 3 players scoring double digits. How important do you think it will be for everyone to contribute and really show that depth against Buffalo Grove in order to win?
I'm starting to see that as more of our identity, where we've had games with 2, 3, and a couple of games with 4 guys in double digits. And that's something that shows the selflessness of our team. We'll occasionally have a game where a guy goes off for 20 or a little bit more, but when we're playing really, solid opponents who are very familiar with our team and our system, you're going to see where the ball really needs to be spread around, and find the open guy, hunt those great shots, not just good shots. And Hersey was a perfect example of that, of guys getting to the rim, guys kicking it out. We had a lot of early production for multiple starters in that first quarter of the Hersey game, and I'd imagine much of the same Friday.
Okay. So if you had to choose one thing that you think the team needs to execute to their fullest against Buffalo Grove, what would you say that is?
I think on the offensive end, the biggest thing is understanding how Buffalo Grove guards screens. We started doing that, and they'll throw a lot of different looks at you when guarding and recovering from both ball screens and down screens, fade screens. So it's our guys' recognition of those, and then I think defensively, I think it all starts with making sure to maintain their ball. They got a lot of early offense from their guards trying to get to the rim and get shots up early. And it's about us matching up. So we started drills yesterday, and we'll keep going with them to try and help guys feel confident stopping that ball early.
Okay, thank you, Coach Camardella. That should do it for Week 4 of Prospect Basketball Weekly. We'll see you next week.